My name is Tess, and I'm a compulsive overeater, and I'm abstinent today. I weigh and measure 3 meals a day off the gray sheet, write them down, commit them to my sponsor or another qualified person, and I don't eat in between my meals, no matter what. I'm abstinent by the grace of God and the support of the Gray Sheet community. My abstinence date is September the 14th, 1998. And to say that I have experienced gifts over the past 21 years is an understatement. Just being alive is a gift. Without Gray Sheet, I could be 6 feet under by now. And even if I was alive, I could be seriously mentally or physically disabled from the ravages of this disease. And wanting to be alive is a gift of abstinence. The food had me so beaten down, I didn't want to live. I wasn't actively suicidal, I just wanted to not wake up. So, Gray Sheet and abstinence has given me that gift of life, and I am grateful for the gift of life today. We talk about the threefold recovery in this program, so I thought maybe I would share just a few of the many physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual gifts that I've received. And some of the physical gifts I've received are a thin body, absence of physical cravings, and freedom from yo yo dieting. Uh, Living in a normal sized body cannot be overrated in my book. Uh, Being overweight does not seem to bother some people, but it was excruciating for me. I'm 4'11", and at my heaviest, I was a size 18-20 petite. That always sounded like an oxymoron to me. It basically meant I was short and fat. I remember wearing girdles to try to cinch in my excess weight. I remember not being able to button pants and going to plus size stores where they really have nothing that fit overweight people. And I remember the comments about my body. I remember the barbs of when are you going to grow up instead of growing out? Or I don't know how those shoes hold you up. It left scars on my heart, and I just wanted to not be fat. Abstinence has given me the gift of the thin body that I always wanted. Another physical gift of abstinence is the absence of physical cravings. Those cravings were merciless. I never remember taking one bite of sugar that I didn't want another bite. From tinyhood on, I craved the foods we avoid. I would tell myself, I'm just going to have one. Well, maybe two. And before I knew it, the sleeve, the box, the bag, the pint were gone. I would have to have a stash of sugar in my car before I went to dinners because I might, in case they didn't serve dessert or have enough food. Um, Lucky for me, I have what the Gray Sheet treats. I have a physical allergy to sugar, grains, starch, and carbohydrates. And if I ingest those substances, it sets up the craving for more of the same. The Gray Sheet eliminates those foods I'm allergic to. And the gift of not being driven by that craving, that is unspeakable. And another gift of abstinence is the freedom from yo-yo dieting. I used to joke, oh, at Christmas time, my family members can buy me clothing gifts in any size between a 2 and a 20, and I will fit in them at some time. I remember when I was in high school, I got my picture in the paper as an advertisement for a national diet program. Well, by the end of the year, I had my picture in the paper again, and this time I was noticeably heavier and wearing a girdle. I felt like the whole town watched me lose weight and the whole town watched me gain weight. When I was a professional actor, a director came to town, cast me in a show, and rehearsals started several months later. Well, during those months, I somehow managed to shed a significant amount of weight. When the director returned, he was actually upset because he had wanted me to play a fat maid, and I no longer fit his vision. But the thing is, I couldn't be counted upon to be the same weight for very long. Gray Sheet has given me the gift of consistency, and I love knowing that the clothes in my closet will fit. Some of the mental, emotional gifts I've received are freedom from head chatter, knowing what is enough, and freedom from obsession. I used to have this ongoing dialogue in my brain, particularly in social situations. Am I fatter than the last time they saw me? Will I break this chair? Does anyone notice I'm binging? How can I get back with the food table, to the food table without anyone noticing? There is such peace with not having that head chatter. Today, I can concentrate on the other person and engage in conversation. Today, I don't use people and parties as opportunities to eat. If I go have an abstinent beverage with someone, it's because I really want to be with that person. And there is dignity in being present with another human being. Knowing what is enough is a gift of abstinence. I love that we have a clear definition of abstinence. I love that we have a sponsor to guide us. When I was abstinent in another food fellowship, I really struggled with amounts. I would read labels on the side of boxes to determine the serving size, but when I went out to eat, I ate the serving the restaurant provided. Needless to say, my restaurant visits were frequent. I was a person who asked God to show me, help me not to eat too much or too little. Well, little did I know my higher power would answer that prayer on a gray piece of paper. And another gift that I've received is freedom from obsession. Obsession played a wicked role in my compulsive overeating. So I have some OCD anyway, but it was magnified during my active addiction. If I thought of a food, I was driven by an insane urge to go and get it and eat it. Then when I was at the store, if I saw something, the compulsion would kick in and I would have to get it and eat it too. Then I would obsess about getting the food out of me and about getting the pounds off. So I would drive to the drugstore and buy suppository laxatives or try to power walk, even though I was gravely ill and in pain. And that kind of obsession, I don't have food obsession today. And my binges became so frenzied and so ritualistic that they became addictions in themselves. So I'm really grateful that I don't obsess about food today. The spiritual gifts that I thought of are healing of shame, peace and serenity, and guilt-free meals. I used to feel guilty about every bite that went into my mouth. I heard there were 7 deadly sins and that gluttony was one of them. There was a lot of mental self-torture about not being able to put the fork down and about asking God to forgive me for overeating. Well, the GOD, or good orderly direction, of the beautiful GreySheeters in the room helped me embrace those guilt-free meals. They took the guilt of eating right out of the picture with slogans like, "We eat like queens," and "the biggest and the best, the greasiest and the gooeyest." The healing of shame is a lifelong process for me. My shame really kept me from letting a higher power love on me real good. And I can't hear enough that I have a disease, not a moral issue. Hearing that I wasn't a weak-willed glutton was a gift. Now, embracing that I'm loved just as I am and not as I think I should be is also a lifelong process, but weighing and measuring my food is restoring that dignity and self-esteem that I lost so long ago. And another gift is peace and serenity. When I came into the Gray Sheet, I was immediately struck by how calm the GreySheeters were. They could sit quietly in a chair. I felt like I was jumping out of my skin. There was a solidness, a firm foundation I sensed when they spoke. And though I still struggle with anxiety, I've come a long way in being restored to sanity and being given that peace and serenity that I saw in them. And one more gift of abstinence is the restoration of relationships. After I got abstinent on the Gray Sheet, my mother later told me she thought I was going to die when I was in the disease. I'm no longer the source of that kind of extreme worry in my family. I can be a family member among family members, a worker among workers, just one among many. So those are some of the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual gifts I've received. This is such an abundant program. My higher power must be crazy about me to grant me this abstinent life. This is a life beyond my wildest dreams, beyond what I used to wish for when I blew out my birthday candles, beyond what I used to pray for on those horrific binge nights, and beyond what I thought would make me happy. I don't have to play lotto. I don't have to buy those scratch-off cards. I already know I won the lottery. So thanks for the gifts of abstinence. Thanks for letting me share. I pass.